Two biggest times of the year to build a PC are Christmas and right before the summer starts. Five Below has a line of PC gaming accessories. These might be a good way to save some cash for the rest of your build, but to test how they hold up, I bought a set and used them for a week. This is what I found. So let's talk about the purpose of this video. I currently have a pretty good setup, but it wasn't always that way. I remember my first keyboard for this very computer that I have now was my mom's old keyboard, and all the keys were faded. You couldn't see any of the letters. So this has kind of been something that's been acquired piecemeal over the years. Like I would pick up things as they broke, as I got some money, or as holidays rolled around. And basically where I'm at is I'm looking at about $550 for my current setup. That's a lot of money. That's a mid to high graphics card for a lot of people. And that could be shifted into your actual build budget if you want it to. But that's with the caveat that this Five Below stuff is going to be any good. So that's where this video comes in. So I bought four things and I tried to stick to the Youse Five Below gaming line. I ended up buying their gaming headset and mic. I ended up buying their gaming mouse LED. I ended up buying their oversized mousepad, and this is not in their gaming line, but I did buy a flexible keyboard from Five Below because it was the only keyboard currently being sold by Five Below. They have apparently at one point had a gaming keyboard for $10, which is very strange. I was not able to find any in stock, any for sale, or find what it actually is, because I'm sure it's sold under some other name from some other retailer. I was not able to find this, so I figured I'll just take what I can get from Five Below. Let's talk about what all this is kind of like at face value. So at a glance, everything does feel a little cheap. The mouse is ridiculously light, and yes, I know that my current mouse has weights in it, but I don't actually keep it that heavy. The headphones are extremely kind of chintzy. The actual mic has very like cheap hot glue foam pad around it, which I'll try to show the best picture that I can. The mouse pad doesn't have any stitching around it, so and it's not very thick. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but it is definitely bigger than a normal mouse pad, and this was actually under $5. And the keyboard, my god, from the second I held that, I knew this was going to be a disaster. Speaking of disaster to type on, how bad is it? Well, I did a typing test with my good keyboard and with this Five Below keyboard. I'm not the best typer in the world, and to even give the bad keyboard, the Five Below keyboard, credit, I actually used that second. So I was taking the exact same test. I already kind of knew what was coming. I scored about 77 words per minute. I took it a few times. I usually range around 80 words per minute. This Five Below keyboard, I managed 25 words per minute, and I don't think I would see that number going up any higher. But it's not all bad. The mouse actually feels pretty okay to click. The biggest issue with the mouse is the scroll wheel has a fairly loose scroll. It's very, you have to move a lot before the scroll actually takes place. And it does light up, which is, nice. You're not going to be, syncing this up to Overwatch or anything, but the colors rotate, so if that's something that you care about, hey, it's super cheap. The headphones are actually really good from my impression of them. For $5 headphones, look guys, I've used a lot of really cheap $5 headphones. These are honestly, without a doubt, the best that I've seen ever. They sound fine, and I'll give you a little sample of what that mic sounds like. So I am a pretty big fan of the audio for these headphones, but what about the mic? Actually, this is being recorded with the mic right now, and you can hear that, yeah, they might not be the best audio in the world, but it will definitely do the trick for talking to your friends. I'm honestly pretty impressed with this piece as a whole. The audio listening and the audio recording experience is pretty solid for just $5. Keyboard, on the other hand, is a totally different story. The keys are extremely squishy to the point of driving me absolutely insane. The key layout leaves a lot to be desired. Certain keys, like instead of a long shift key, you get 2 small shift keys, which makes it even harder to hit the already squishy as hell keys. There are random concessions made, like the backspace being the same size as a normal key, but then you getting this absolutely enormous caps lock key, which takes up probably 15% of the total keyboard size. The enter key has a large enter as well as a small enter. It's just, there's a lot of nothing here, a lot of why. There's a separate space right next to the space. It's not my favorite. Also, this thing is a disaster to type on. So to test everything being used as a set, I focused primarily on 3 games. Those being to test different aspects of this whole experience. I tested Left 4 Dead 2 to emphasize using the mouse. I tested Risk of Rain 2 as kind of an all-around game. And then I tested StarCraft 2 as kind of the ultimate test of utilizing absolutely everything. StarCraft 2 requires extremely quick, precise key inputs, and it requires extremely accurate mouse inputs. It requires you to be able to communicate with the mic, and it requires you to be able to hear all the cues you need to hear. Left 4 Dead is a pretty quick shooter. It requires you to be able to move that mouse quickly and accurately. And Risk of Rain 2 is more of a casual game, which allows you to just see like a normal, non-esports, non-competitive, more casual experience. Well, Risk of Rain 2 is where I'm going to start. That game did fine with the mouse, did fine with the headphones, did fine with that mouse pad. There was plenty of real estate, even though I am used to that mouse mat where I can basically use as much or as little as I want. But that keyboard, oh my god. I just want to show you how I died to just see how bad it is. This was my death. It wasn't because I couldn't aim, and keep in mind, I play this game a lot. I can do fine. I did a solo run on hard to just see how far I could get. I got about 3.5 minutes in because moving was almost impossible. These keys, they'll either double input or they won't input at all. There's almost no in between. You have to hit them very precisely. The key layout is ridiculous to the point that I am fat fingering things left and right. I don't know if any kind of learning curve would break that habit. I ended up fat fingering the Windows key, and then by the time I got out, I wasn't able to register the W key, so I wasn't able to run away from this bad guy who wrecked me. But what about Left 4 Dead 2? Well, the keys sucked, and that's going to be a trend throughout this video. The keys sucked. But I was able to move, reasonably well. More importantly, that mouse was showing that it's not that bad of a mouse. I have very little issues with the mouse. It's only 2 buttons. You're not going to get to customize anything, and there's no DPI setting beyond what it comes with, which is a 1200 DPI sensor. But hey, it was doing the job for me. I had fairly few complaints, and I'm a little picky when it comes to my mice. But what about StarCraft 2, the cream of the crop for you need to be using your keys and you need to be using your mouse. Everything needs to be flowing like butter for you to perform at your absolute peak for this game. Well, pretty good on the Youse Gaming side. The headphones worked great, the mic worked great, the mouse worked pretty well, although this is where I started to see some kind of cracks in this is a $5 mouse versus what I'm used to, which is a $60 mouse. And again, that mouse pad definitely served plenty of room for moving around. The keyboard, on the other hand, absolute trash once again. And this is going to kind of bring us to our conclusion. So how do I feel about all this, guys? Well, Believe it or not, the Youse Gaming stuff, actually pretty solid. Honestly, if I had to rank everything, I would say the headphones come in first. The mouse/mousepad are kind of tied because the mousepad is fine. It's just a matter of when is it going to start to fray. And it's extremely thin. But that keyboard is absolute bottom. Not only should you not buy this for playing games, you should not buy this, period. Do not buy this. Do not buy it for anyone. Do not recommend this to anyone. This is a piece of trash. But the other stuff was actually pretty solid, and I didn't feel compromised in my experience. If I could throw my old keyboard mixed in with this ultimately $13-15 setup between all three of these items, I would be a happy camper. I would feel totally uncompromised in my gaming experience. So where does that lead us in the conclusion? Personally, I would say go ahead with the used stuff. If you are trying to save a buck, you'll definitely have your buck saved. If they only last 6 months, it was only $5. And by then maybe you'll have a little bit more money saved up for something a little better after your build is complete. On the keyboard side, definitely don't go Five Below. If there's a used keyboard, I would even be skeptical there. It's just so much hardware for such a low price. My best recommendation would be to either spend a little bit more or check out some thrift stores. Almost every time I go to Goodwill, I find a nice stack of decent keyboards that are around $5. And even then, there's plenty of $10-ish solutions from Walmart that will get the job done. But that's all for me, guys. Please consider subscribing. This was a pretty big video for us to make. We hope to keep the ambitious videos coming. If you like the video, please give us a like and let me know down in the comments what you thought. Let me know if you have any experience with this Five Below stuff or if you have a better alternative. And that's all for me, guys. I will catch you next time.